Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good life. It's morning for me, and I just drove to my favorite beach, and it's under construction. It's being cleaned up after the rash of hurricanes that hit this area of Florida. And I'm really resonating with this scene. I'm resonating with it because it brings to mind, like, okay, let's say the beach before the hurricane was me before my latest stint of growth, spiritual awakening that I went through. We're always awakening to different levels. It's probably not over. Still got more to go. But in the process of awakening to a higher level, the next level of our consciousness, things can get chaotic. They can break down. They can fall apart. That's all part of the transmutation and transformation process. And that's what this beach looks like to me right now. And but there's a crew here. There are people here working to get it all put back together and to get it beautiful again. And that's what's always going on with us. Like, we're always changing. We're always transforming. Something's breaking down and something's arising. And it can be really uncomfortable when you're in the in-between phase. In the middle of the transition. Like, the hurricane's over, right? So this is like me applying this analogy to my life. Like, the hurricane, the catalyst came, it stirred things up. There was a storm, and now in my life, I'm sitting with the sort of aftermath. It's calmed down, but now there's a sort of a blank slate to work with. And it can be scary. It can be sad because you're mourning the things that were before that you had to let go, or the people or the situations. And the grace that you thought you had, you watched it be wiped away because you didn't have yet the tools and the understanding to deal with the storm that came your way. And so you were floundering and you were looking like a fool, and you believe people judged you and think you're crazy. And like, this is what went on with me. And this is what happens often when we undergo big changes or spiritual evolution or awakenings, is we lose people. We get judged, or we judge ourselves, or we judge others. It's a lot of change. And I know that this beach is going to be beautiful once again. And there's going to be people here playing and sunbathing and swimming and snorkeling and, all the good stuff. Just like new things are coming in my life. Okay. And it's all necessary for the growth, for the good that God has for us. We have to let go to make room of the old, to make room for the new, and that can be difficult. And we can make up stories in our head about, like, because we're sad about what we had to let go or what we lost. If only I had done this, or if only I had done that, then that person would still be in my life, or I would still have this. These things are people or situations that we were attached to. But the fact of the matter is, it couldn't be any other way. And the proof of that is that it's not that way. And this is why we suffer. God's will be done. And when you don't accept that, and you don't accept reality, and you want to fight it, and you want to play out scenarios in your head of how you could have made things different, that's when we suffer. So I'm sitting here in my car trying to give myself grace for not having had the level of grace that I wish I had had when I was going through all of it. But it was an impossibility, okay? So it's silly. A silly thing to do, to go over and over again in your head about how things might have been or could have been. But this is why it's so important when we have the ability, when we can, to give other people grace. Because we don't know what sort of storm they have endured or are currently enduring. Okay. When we're in the middle of a storm, we often don't yet have the tools to navigate it gracefully. That is the actual reason for the storm. It's to equip us with more grace. Okay? That's how we gain more grace. It's easy to have grace when everything's going well and going great. Right? But this is why hardships are a blessing in the long run. It makes you stronger. It helps you to develop grace and the capacity to love deeply and to show up for yourself and others in ways that you never imagined you would be courageous enough to do. So be kind to yourself. Be gentle to yourself. Love yourself. Forgive yourself and others. We're all on a long walk with God, and sometimes we get lost and we forget that and we go astray. And that's why it's important to reach out a hand, to give an encouraging word, and to not be so hard on one another.